I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar. We're going to talk about email security training. This is important content. We spend a lot of time learning in all kinds of ways, some of them by good example, some of them by bad example, and it's from the things that we've learned that we present this information, required basics that every employee really should know. My name's Ray Kuhl. I'm CEO of PBSI Technology Solutions. And first of all, I want to thank the many of you attending who are long-term clients and friends. Great to see your names is really all I can see. And also welcome to the many of you where this is your first exposure to PBSI. The purpose of all of the webinars we do is educational. So obviously we sell products and services and security services, but that is not the goal today. The goal is inform and educate, help everyone understand. And it's clear that the folks who attend a webinar like this, you are the, quote, smart ones in the room. You're the ones who understand, yeah, this is important. And I want to say that the content that we'll share will be published. You'll get a recording of this webcast, and you are free to distribute it to employees. Our goal is to educate. So we're going to talk about the fundamentals of email security, how to spot dangerous emails. We've got some really good content, some examples and specifics. We'll talk about protecting email with file encryption. When's it important? Talk about a tool that is really a fantastic option, $2 a month tool from Microsoft that provides real security in email, and then an option for ongoing security training. So again, thanks for the many of you who are long-term clients. For those where this is your first exposure to PBSI, we provide IT, technology, and security services for hundreds of clients in Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. And the most important thing I can say is, and those of you who are clients know this, we have a fantastic group of staff, and so many of our staff have been with us for 10 or more years. That experience helps clients. This I know as CEO. I'm blessed to be in that environment. And so our focus today is security. I'm going to start with a short demonstration of very relevant content. If some of you have attended previous PBSI webinars, you may have seen this kind of demonstration, but this is very relevant to what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about email security, including passwords, and one of the things that's really fundamental to understand, I'm logging in right now to a secure website where PBSI pays a monthly fee to be able to access. This is an entry to the dark web. I'm going to do a search on the dark web for exposed email and passwords from PBSI. Yes, PBSI, the security company, we brag about how good we are. There are 56 examples of emails with associated passwords that have been exposed from PBSI staff. So some of these staff have not worked for PBSI for many years. The fact is, these emails and their passwords were exposed 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 10 years ago. It doesn't really matter. What matters is they're for sale. So in the column identifier, that's the email address. These are real PBSI people. In the column for password, you'll see some of these 3 X's. That means there's really no password exposed. Some of these, though, there is a real password exposed, and some of them were cracked and are for sale. So it doesn't matter if the password's exposed or cracked in both cases. Our real passwords are exposed on the internet, and they are for sale. If I did a search for Gmail, which I've done, we would find 400 million exposed passwords. 400,000. Anyway, lots and lots of them. Same thing with Yahoo and others. The point is, since we know, and what did we do to expose our passwords? Chances are we did nothing wrong. What happened was we stored our username and password with a website, and that website was hacked. And Anthem, Target, I mean, we can go on and on. There are tens of thousands of sites. Continuing every day, there are new exposures, and some of them are very, very large exposures. It's virtually impossible to prevent our passwords from being exposed. So why is that relevant? It's relevant because in our email, we will now be able, and many of us do, and you've seen this, we receive emails that have personal information about our coworkers, about ourselves, about others, it makes the importance of understanding email security makes it really, really important. So the first thing I want to say is, if you use a normal password that you use on lots and lots of sites, change it. Today would be a good idea. The fact that passwords are exposed, it's too pervasive to ignore. So don't use a normal password, and so I'm not going to say more about this other than don't reuse work and personal passwords. In fact, enable two-factor authentication whenever it's available to you. And if you'd like to find out if your passwords have been compromised, we used to charge for this service. We will do this free for any organization or person. Send us an email with and just say we'd like our exposed passwords to be searched, and we will, in a very secure way, communicate back with you to identify. It's very likely that you'll be in the same situation I was many years ago when we first signed up for the security test service. We did so the day that I saw a demonstration of this and found that my own then quote normal password had been exposed, and it was a complete shock to me. Many of you, probably most of you, would experience the same kind of a shock. So change your password. However, understanding that our passwords have been exposed, we know that we're going to receive emails that are very, very crafty, and in many cases, they know information about us. So with that understanding, we're going to talk about the fundamentals of evaluating emails and go through some examples. So there are 4 safety principles that are really important. The first is understand the difference between solicited and unsolicited. Okay, so you get an email from Ray at PBSI. You know Ray. And if you asked Ray to send you something and he replies, that's a solicited email. If you get an email from Ray that you know Ray, but you're not sure why he's sending this email at this time, that's unsolicited. Anything that's unsolicited needs to be much more carefully evaluated. So unsolicited means it's unrequested and unexpected. So if you receive a webinar invite from PBSI, that's not requested, but it's not unexpected. So the idea continually here is context. Know that you need to evaluate emails in a much more careful way if it's unsolicited. Even if you know the sender, is there anything unusual about this email? Brief emails from a known person. I've gotten these from my daughter, from my daughter-in-law. Probably most of you have too, where it's a simple email with just a few contacts that you know that person knows, and something very brief like, thought you'd be interested, check this out, thought of you when I saw this. These are just a complete heads up that this is not an email that that person really intended to send to you. So really pay attention to unsolicited email. In general, antenna up. Does anything seem amiss? If anything causes, what's the context? Why am I getting this email? First, do I need to click this now? So any PBSI client can forward any email to us, and we will treat it as a priority when we see an email that says, is this a bad email? And we'll evaluate it and reply back. But you may have other IT resources or your own internal IT manager. So each organization will have their own policy, but have a process to ask, do I need to click this now? Can I ask someone else to vet this for me? So some of the basics: hover over the email address, notice the time of day it was sent, the recipient list, whether there's something brief or out of character. Why would this person send this email to me? The spellings, grammar mistakes, unusual phrasing, colors, formatting, font variations. It's true that the majority of spam emails we get are from within the United States. However, a significant percentage come from outside of the US, and non-native English speakers will tend to make mistakes that we can catch if we're paying attention. Principle number 3, don't get news from your email. I have some vivid examples. I'm going to show you these examples where I received in my email news that I thought at the time, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. That's really interesting. But my inner clock said, don't click on this. And it turned out that the information was not true. If you get an email with some news information, go to your news source directly. Don't click in your email. Particularly current events, product releases when it's tax time or holiday time, disasters, celebrity news. It's a very, very common technique where very new information is used in an email to say, hey, did you know this? I'll show you an example of the day I got the email from the Fox News. It wasn't really from Fox News, but it looks really real, saying the United Airlines CEO has been fired over the passenger that got thrown off the plane. And I remember seeing that and thinking, you're kidding, I didn't know that. But I didn't click, and you shouldn't either. Social media. Don't get news and avoid clicks when possible in social media. Your friends are not foolproof. And just because they publish a link doesn't mean that link is safe. Something that seems too good to be true makes me curious. Who would like to make me curious? Principle 4, careful with unsubscribe. Unsubscribe is actually, there's a better way to get off mail lists than unsubscribe. Unsubscribe is used by scammers to confirm your email address and in some cases to gather information to initiate an attack. So you'll find that the good guys, when you say unsubscribe, they'll simply say thank you, or maybe ask a one prompt question. The bad guys will say, what's your email address? Give me some more information. Very careful with unsubscribe. If you're sure that it's somebody who you have previously subscribed to, so you subscribe to Macy's, Macy's having a one day, okay, you want to unsubscribe, fine, it's Macy's, go ahead and unsubscribe. I'm just picking on an example, but if it's somebody you don't know, chances are you should not unsubscribe. Instead, if you're using Outlook, you right click and say junk block sender. It has exactly the same effect, but it doesn't notify the sender that you no longer want to receive their emails, and it doesn't notify the sender that you're a real person. Okay, there will be, by the way, published a summary of these recommendations. We have a one-page document that each of you will receive as an attachment. And though that attachment, that email will be unsolicited, it won't be unexpected. So other email caution steps. Links in emails. Hover over links, check spellings, unexpected content. Carefully review extensions. If you're not sure, there is no such thing as amex.us.com or ups.pickup.com. Just because, oh yeah, that looks like that's a UPS address, doesn't mean that it is. You're much better off going to the site. Never respond if asked to click for confirmation or reset. This is very commonly used. Even if they know part of your credit card number or your social security number, that information is published and for sale out there. And it doesn't mean that it's legitimate because they know some valid information about you. Instead, if you think it's legitimate, instead of clicking, go to the vendor site and log in, and don't copy and paste the link. Go directly to the site and key in the address. So basically, always think twice. If you're uncertain, forward the email to someone you trust who can evaluate it for you. Some common spoofs, whatever the current event is, tax season's coming, confirm your IRS account now before the hackers can steal your IRS information, or you need to reset your PIN number now, or there's a problem with, these are just so common, your Microsoft or your Gmail account needs renewal. Bad guys use security messages very commonly. We've detected a security issue with your account. Please click here to change your password. Do not do that. Go to the site directly and change your password. If there's a message for you, it will be there when you log in. Text alerts, same thing. Don't respond to text alerts. Log into the site. Google or Microsoft or whoever it is, we've detected unusual activity. Reset your password now. Don't do that. Doesn't mean that it might not be a legitimate message. It might be a legitimate message, so I wouldn't ignore it if we get a password reset warning, but I would log into the site and definitely don't click on your phone or mobile device. If you have any concern you've made a mistake, I think I just put some information in response and now I'm concerned I shouldn't have done that. I've already made my mistake. Simply change your password associated with that login, and you've just solved the problem that you may have just created. Okay, so hopefully these are some helpful things. I'm going to go through some examples now just quickly. Some of these are old, some of these are very new, fax messages coming in by email. If someone had clicked on this, we got an e-fax. Okay, well, I get e-faxes, but this isn't the format I usually get e-faxes. There's a specific format I'm expecting. And if I'd have clicked on this one, I'd have gotten this ransomware message on the right-hand side saying my PC has been locked. Probably some network drives to which I'm connected have been locked. I need to pay ransom in order to unlock them. You never want to see this message. And don't pay the ransom, by the way. There have been some really large payments published, city governments, all kinds of folks who pay a ransom. But the fact is, when you're in that situation, we've had too many clients who've been in that situation. They made the mistake, they got the ransomware message, now they have a serious problem. You'd do anything to turn back the clock at that moment. So we want to prevent. And that's pretty much the reason we're going through this information today, is to help everybody understand, how do I evaluate? So here's just an example: security alert, your login limit has been reached. This fraud note was added by me. This was not really from Amazon. And no, I don't want to secure my account. I don't want to click on anything on this email. Current events, a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, the Spectre meltdown happened right at the very end of December, very beginning of January. January 6th, I received an email saying, hey, you may have heard about this. You want more information? You want to fix the problem? This was from a bad actor. And if anything had been clicked in this email, it was a current security event that was used to try and fool people into clicking. FedEx, your shipment's been delayed. Oh, I didn't know. Did my wife order something? UPS, same thing. Shipment notices. If you have ordered something from Amex or excuse me, Amazon or wherever you ordered it, and they send you an email saying immediately in response, here's your tracking number. Okay, that's fine. That's different than getting an unsolicited email from UPS or FedEx that's not directly linked to your the order that you know you placed. Here's the fake news email. This is the actual email I received saying that the CEO resigns. That never happened. He did not resign. There was another one I received the day that the Charlottesville jury came in. This email immediately came to me that the guy who drove his car to the crowd was acquitted. And I remember getting this email and thinking, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding. Well, he was not acquitted. This was fake news. Don't get your news from your email. So a good email here, I've been with Huntington. Huntington sends this email to me, and you notice there's no link in it. So there are some banks who do send emails with links. So it doesn't mean that if there's a link in it that it's bad, but beware. I basically never click on a link in an email I receive from a financial institution. Just go to the website, because this was a bad email. Emails from trusted sources. This is commonly used. So here is donate to Goodwill. Make it real easy. Just click on one of these amounts and you make your donation. This was right after a disaster happened. This was a bad email. Would have captured my information and sent my payment to the wrong place. Here's Kroger. It's very reasonable to think that Kroger's marketing organization would know that we have a business and I have an account with Kroger, but this is taking advantage of what's likely. Kroger's a Cincinnati company. I'm a Cincinnati resident. This was a bad email. It wasn't from Kroger. I'm not trying to frighten anybody, but the fact is we need to be cautious. That's why we're having this discussion. E-signature requests, some might be legitimate, but you need to really vet. So is this coming from, and this is not a legitimate email address. You think, well, DocuSign's in there. This must be from DocuSign. No, it was not. Fix your credit score, see my credit score, don't click. So which email is bad? Look at the email on the left. Microsoft found undelivered messages. On the right, your information is out of date for, and so how are we going to evaluate which email message is bad? This one uses a name. This one doesn't use a name. So it's difficult. I probably wouldn't click on either of these emails. but always look at the URL and the extension of the URL, and if there's addressee specificity. So this is to Ray as opposed to dear client. So hopefully that's helpful information in evaluating emails. So we have some other important things. I'm going to make mention of sending protected information by email. So hopefully everybody knows that it is not permissible to send protected information by email. What is protected information? Personal information or health information, PHI or PII. Protected information is anything that associates a name with an identifier. So a person's name associated with either a social security number or a credit card number or a date of birth or a diagnosis code or procedure code, driver's license number, any name associated with any one of those pieces of information makes that information protected. We are obligated to not transmit publicly information about our clients, our employees, our patients. So what is the answer then? We may not send emails without encryption. So don't do it, or there are three options that you have. Encrypt the email, and I'm going to show you a short option how to do that with Microsoft Exchange Online, where you pay $2 a month for the ability to send encrypted emails with a click. Or encrypt attachments. We have a document that shows how to encrypt any Microsoft Word or any PDF document. You don't need PDF Professional, Adobe Professional. You can do it with the free version. You can save your PDF as an encrypted attachment or an encrypted file, and then you can attach that file to an email. And if you've done that, then you're safe as long as there's no text in your email that includes protected information. Or use a secure file sharing portal like ShareFile. So I'm going to do a demonstration that includes how do we encrypt an email and a separate feature that I'm going to talk about here that is probably the single most important. If you're an IT person or if you're making decisions about email for your organization, pay attention to this. We recommend every client use Exchange Online and Advanced Threat Protection for this reason. Exchange Online, which it comes with Office 365. So Exchange Online by itself is $4 a month. Takes care of your email. You add this $2 a month fee, so you get a total of $6 a month you're paying for each email address, and it includes this threat protection. What does the threat protection do? What it does is when a user, any one of our employees, clicks on a link or an attachment in an email, that click is sent out by Microsoft to a separate site called SafeLinks. It's exploded, detonated in a sandbox in the cloud, which is different than just reading if the signature appears okay on this email. It actually does everything that would have happened. It just, instead of returning back to the email user a ransomware or a virus, it returns back a message that says, you shouldn't have done that. I'll show that to you quickly. So these are two things I'm going to demonstrate quickly. I'm not trying to sell Office 365 and these products, although we do sell these things. I'm trying to make you aware that there are ways that you can protect against bad clicks and you can encrypt email. So I'm going to now send an email. I'm going to demonstrate encryption. I'm going to send a new email, and I'll send it to my Gmail account at home. And so this could be sent to any person. Because I have the $2 a month Azure Information Protection, AIP, this may be protected information with social security numbers. Because I have this $2 a month option, I can say options, permissions, encrypt, send. So in this case, the recipient of that now, instead of receiving the message, the email, they receive a message from Ray that says, you have a message from Ray, click here to enter a one-time passcode or log into your account. So it's very simple to do, and anybody who needs to send protected information, if anybody is sending financial information, social security number to a payroll service or to an accountant for employees, or any clinical information that needs to go to referring sources or other patients, that $2 a month option makes it really quite simple. All right, so that is Azure Information Protection. Now I'm going to demonstrate the really most important $2 a month option, and that is Advanced Threat Protection. So ATP, if I open this email, this was sent to me by our security administrator, and he said, this is one's okay to test. Well, this is a bad link. If I didn't have ATP installed and I clicked on this link, I would have gotten a virus. But instead, Microsoft sent this to this safe links area and executed this, and what I got was a message that says, you shouldn't have done that. No harm done. That's a whole lot better than ransomware. Anybody who's had a ransomware attack would turn back the clock as far as they could to spend $2 a month to avoid this hassle. And do we have to report a breach and all the just very difficult problems that come with ransomware? It's not just can we recover our files, it's what did they steal? What risk have I just been exposed to? Okay, so very simple. That is what it does with a link. Here is what it does with an attachment. So I had a client who actually sent this attachment to me saying, I'm having a hard time opening this. I said, forward that email to me. And he was trying to open this attachment from a, quote, former employee. It wasn't really from the former employee. And sure enough, that attachment was had bad content and would have caused damage. So that's the end of my demonstration. I just wanted to identify the first thing I demonstrated was the ability to encrypt, and the second, the ability to protect. So if you're a PBSI client and we have not yet gotten the message to you that you should really be considering this, please contact us. This is inexpensive protection, particularly the advanced information protection. Okay, final comment, how do we train our employees? So one thing that you can do, if you find it useful, you're welcome to forward the link to this webinar to any staff, and free of charge, use this for training if you wish. A better approach, we use a product called KnowBe4 at PBSI. We have a bunch of clients who use this. This is, you can do this one time where you set up training. This could be done for HIPAA training for a medical officer. It can be done for security training. You can do it one time, or you can set up a program where you spend $3 a month, and what you get is just a ton of good security content that's regularly published, and you can use it for initial training for new employees. Then we do baseline testing, so we send out a phishing email or multiple phishing emails to find out who the clickers are. Then you can use ongoing training, security tips, training videos, interactive exercises. The HIPAA test is something where the employee answers the questions, it scores them, it records the fact that we've done that training for every employee. So if we're exposed to a HIPAA audit or an audit by another agency, we can prove that we trained every single employee, and here they passed their tests, they got their certificates. So phish employees irregularly and train employees regularly, $3 a month. It's one choice. They are by far the largest in the world, and their content is fantastic. They change it all the time. So it's just an idea. If you wish to solve the problem without recreating the wheel of how do we train our employees, KnowBe4 is really an excellent product. And we're a reseller. In fact, to sign up for KnowBe4, you have to have at least 100 employees. As a reseller, we provide KnowBe4 to clients who have a handful of employees, or 10 or 20 or 30. So, we make it possible for small organizations to use this very inexpensively. Okay, so summary. Email safety principles. Solicited versus unsolicited. Antenna up all the time. Don't get news from email. And avoid unsubscribe unless you're certain. Caution steps. Don't click on links without running through the caution steps. Hovering over links and not responding to requests for confirmation or reset. If you think a request is legitimate, go to the site directly, and always think twice. For email encryption, don't send protected information by email unless you have an encryption option. So I want to thank you for your attendance, and I hope this has been useful information. There's some information on the screen here about some services that are available. Again, our purpose today was and is to educate, and I hope this has been useful. Thank you for your attendance. We are finished. Hope everybody has a good day.